seem to come with pretty good news if you're to look at it, because in Kasese, according to the police report, they are still counting a number of people who are dying because of the landslides. But not only that, because of the flooding and the like. But not only that, when you also take it to the football perspective in Uganda, former Cranes player and goalkeeping coach Fred Kajoba passed on as well, and it's not a good time for the Ugandan football fraternity. May his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. So when you look at such reports coming in on a Monday, you would definitely be praying that the week ends up so well. But nonetheless, we are here because not only did the news go on the sad side of it, but well, of course, there is also some promising bit of it if you come to think of it. And here we are delighted to make sure that we are here on a Tuesday morning to ensure that you, our viewer, get to know of what is happening, what is making headlines, not only in Uganda, but well away from Uganda. So sit back and feel part of the family and join the conversation as we'll be looking deeper in not only matters census, but then also looking at the preparations of so many of the things that is happening within the country. But then also, putting that aside, a new report, an interesting report, that is citing that only 5% of Uganda's health centers are the ones that are actually promoting better or safer family planning services. Now, that is a worrying state for our nation and for the health center or the health sector of Uganda. So that is going to be a discussion that we will as well be looking at with the team. Myself, Joram Paul Sonko, Chantal Oliver Kandinda, and Olive Monica Najuma. Olive Monica Najuma, good morning today.
Well, good morning, Joram. How was your night and your drive to work this morning?
My night was a little bit short-lived, simply because I didn't have enough hours of rest, I should say. But here I am, happy and healthy, if I'm to put it in that way.
I like the sound of that. Well, my night was also fantastic, and of course the drive to work was nice. I like driving to work when children are on holiday, because you know what? That means that there are even fewer cars on the road. Yes.
I do understand that feeling, and more so when it comes to the fact that not so many Ugandans wake up as early as that to hit the roads. It's after 6 a.m. when the roads start filling up. But nonetheless, the Tuesday is here. I don't know how prepared you are for it, and I don't know what you're looking forward to seeing or what you've been noticing in the past 12 hours.
Well, Tuesday is here. I'm excited and can't wait to see what we will be getting, especially us in the media, because as you know, yesterday morning we did talk about the cash bonanza for parliamentary commissioners, and then later on we got a letter that was not signed claiming that the letter we saw before, purportedly from the president, was actually not legit. So I'm waiting to see whether that is actually the truth, and of course seeing how we go forward.
Well, of course, with the two letters that were moving across the media platforms or on social media all over the weekend, now many of the Ugandans are still waiting to see whether which one was authentic or not, because like Monica mentioned yesterday, we did mention something about it, and even in our press review, this was a story that was making headlines on both the papers, that is with the Daily Monitor and the New Vision. But of course, we shall wait to see what statement is coming along. And of course, the document that was released, or a letter that was released by the Presidential Press Unit on their official social media handles, also revealed that the letter that was commenting on the matters to do with the service awards was not authentic or was a fake letter. So we wait, and we'll definitely be giving you details of that. Chantal Oliver Kandinda, a very good morning to you. How are you doing today?
I am feeling very well, thank you. How are you, Sonko?
I am okay. I've just remembered a comment from one of our viewers yesterday who was welcoming you back from the long holiday.
Well, you know, I also found out when I got here that I was in a certain place that I didn't know I was. But anyway, I guess that will be a conversation for another day. While you were doing the intro, you talked about the Uganda Cranes and the loss. And I remember yesterday during the day, I was having a conversation with someone who asked me, how many Uganda Cranes players do you know? And to be honest, when I thought through it, I literally I couldn't even make it 1% of how many Uganda Cranes players I knew. But the good news comes that Uganda is in position, or the Uganda Cranes, we are in position to actually host the World Cup qualifiers, and that should be good news for us. But it also goes to say that, are we promoting our team enough?
True,
You
true.
know, are we investing enough? You know, the way we should be investing. Have we, to a certain degree, lost a certain glory that we had, or we were starting to build? You know, the years before? And that is a question that still lingers in my mind, and in a way hurts, because there are certain things that we could invest in as a country and would really take us really far. And aside from agriculture, yes, you can also look at sports and different areas in sports that would do pretty well for our country.
And of course, speaking about the Uganda Cranes, like Chantal has mentioned, back in the time when the Uganda Cranes was the talk in town, especially when we had a game, it was not difficult for us to name the current Cranes players. So I'd want to believe Mr. Ruben Pima Chibirango will help us as the team here to tell us the current players that are always summoned for the national team. Because back in the time, we remembered names like Geoffrey Massa, David Obua, Dennis Onyango. Those were the names that we had.
And Jerome, those the back in time is not actually very long ago.
Not very
it
far.
was in 2007
right,
when Uganda beat Nigeria at Nambole. And
Exactly.
speaking of Nambole,
Ibrahim Sekaja.
Exactly, Ibrahim Sekaja. And speaking of Nambole, it has been given the green light to host the games that we will be having. The Africa, is that the Africa
CAF.
Cup of-
Yeah,
Yes.
CAF, CAF gave
Qualifiers.
us,
Yes.
they go ahead. And that means for the Uganda people, on the 7th, when Uganda will be taking its first game for the World Cup qualifiers, it is a high
Against
time we
Botswana
attended in
and
huge numbers.
Algeria.
7th June, Nambole, that is the Nelson Mandela National Stadium. So I think Ugandans will now be able to go and appreciate what we do have. And maybe we shall get in sync with our current Uganda Cranes players again. But away from that, we do have some local news gathered for you, as well as from the internationals. But first, we start off with the locals.
Well, we start with the deaths in Kasese district. Police has confirmed 13 deaths resulting from landslides in Kasese district, while 8 people have so far been hospitalized. The police spokesperson Fred Nanga says operations for total rescue are still underway to ensure location clearance. The bursting of different rivers in Kasese district led to the washing away of over 50 households, leading to a total of affected persons being 25. Police has confirmed the retrieval of 13 bodies during response operations. The increasing water levels due to rains are misplacing many families, especially those residing near riverbanks and lake shores. Meanwhile, police has arrested one Swaib Murungi, a traditional healer and resident of Kayabwe Town Council, Mpiji District, for defiling 5 juveniles, and 4 of these are his daughters. In Masindi District, police arrested one Daniel Roberts, an American national with an expired visa. Roberts was found in the protected and restricted field at Larry Division in Masindi, and police is investigating his intention. The territorial police in Pakwach recovered a gun which is believed for having been used to terrorize the region, and one person arrested, Binego Alfred, while 2 still on the run. Now, speaking matters, the controversial Lubowa Hospital, Constitutional Court justices have dismissed a petition which was filed by Initiative for Socio-Economic Rights against the Attorney General. The petition was questioning the manner in which ministries of Health and Finance, Planning and Economic Development and Parliament awarded $379.7 million to Finasi and Rocco for financing the design, construction and equipping of Lubowa Hospital. In dismissing the petition, justices were of the view that there was no law contravened by all the respondents in awarding the contract to Finasi and Rocco. Now, in other news, Buhweju County Member of Parliament Francis Mwijuche is nursing wounds he sustained in a scuffle over land in Buhweju district. The land in conflict is located at Ranyamabari village, Omhambo, Chakatungu Parish, Buhweju District. The Buhweju County Member of Parliament Francis Mwijuche was attacked last Sunday in Nyakishana sub-county, where he had gone to attend Sunday Mass at Ranyamabari Catholic Church. Mwijuche was evacuated by police that was called in to calm the situation that had gone out of hand and rushed to Mbara Regional Referral Hospital. During the scuffle, 7 other people who are yet to be identified sustained serious injuries and were admitted at Nsika Health Center 4. Marshal Tumsime, the spokesperson, Greater Bushenyi Regional Police, commented on the incidents. And lastly, in our local news, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, has called upon town clerks and other respective local leaders to submit lists of trained enumerators and other support teams for allowance remittances. Dr. Albert Byamgisha, the UBOS board chairperson, says the move to expedite the census exercise targets to resolve early technical glitches and morale-boost enumerators towards work. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has owned the early technical glitches in the ongoing census exercise and cited unauthorized logins by unrecruited individuals. The UBOS board chairperson, Dr. Albert Byamgisha, confirms irregularities in the recruitment process by district leaders, including backdoor recruitment leading to information mismatch. Working with the manufacturer of census-enabling machines, poor functionality of equipment was handled, and UBOS is optimistic for smooth further exercise. The ongoing query concerning the delayed training allowance for recruited individuals, UBOS has called upon district leaderships to submit harmonized lists for payment. In places where challenges occurred during early days of the exercise, enumerators are expected to compensate for time wasted by extending days missed. So far, UBOS has confirmed 30% of coverage of the 8.7 million mapped households in Uganda. Meanwhile, police have registered 7 cases stealing census-enabling tools, and 1 person has been arrested. In some districts, unscrupulous individuals are accused of sabotaging the enumeration exercise. In Nigeria Division, Wakiso District, 1 enumerator, Sally Angelo, was attacked and beaten up by goons. Angelo succumbed to injuries sustained. But that does it for the local news.
Well, now Shetal Oliver Cannon takes us to a ride away from the country to see what is making headlines from that side.
Across the globe, Israeli protesters blocked aid trucks destined for Gaza on Monday, throwing food packages onto the road and ripping bags of grain, open in the occupied West Bank. The lorries, which were set upon the Takwimia checkpoint west of Hebron, came from Jordan and were headed to the Gaza Strip, where tens of thousands of Palestinians face food and aid shortages. The White House has condemned the attack, describing the looting of aid convoys as a total outrage. The group reportedly behind the protest said they were demonstrating against the continued detention of Israeli hostages in Gaza. Unverified footage shared on social media showed protesters toppling boxes from lorries onto the ground and stomping on them once they had fallen. Some videos appeared to show vehicles being set on fire later in the evening. The BBC was not able to independently verify some of these videos, and this is according to reports in Israeli media, and the Salv9 activist group was responsible for organizing the protest. Moving on, Michael Cohen, the key prosecution witness in Donald Trump's hush money case, has testified against the former United States president in one of the most widely anticipated days in court since the trial began. Cohen, Trump's former personal lawyer and fixer, told the court yesterday that he lied and bullied on behalf of his former boss. It was what was needed in order to accomplish the task, said Cohen, periodically glancing over at Trump, who was slouched in his chair at the defendant's table in the New York City courtroom. Prosecutors have accused Trump of falsifying business records related to hush money payments made before the 2016 election, which he won. The prosecution's case hinges on a $130 million payment Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the vote in an effort to keep her from speaking publicly about a 2006 sexual encounter she says she had with Trump. Moving on, a Kenyan man due to be executed in Saudi Arabia has had a last-minute reprieve following a large-scale social media campaign. Stephen Munyako, son of veteran journalist Dorothy Kweyu, received the death penalty in 2011 following a fatal fight with a colleague in the Gulf nation. According to the Bring Back Stevo campaign run by Munyako supporters, both workers sustained stab wounds, but only Munyako survived. Consequently, Munyako was handed a death sentence, and under Saudi law, a death sentence can be lifted if the family agrees to get compensation instead. His family back home in Kenya have been attempting to raise a required blood money, which is a 3.5 million Saudi riyals, call it 940,000 US dollars, for the deceased's family. On Monday, just 2 days before Munyako was due to be executed, Kenya's Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs said Saudi Arabia had kindly granted the government's request to postpone the death in order to allow for further negotiations between all parties. And lastly, a new study led by the British University of Leeds predicts that the hot and dry conditions brought about by climate change will lead to an overall decrease in areas suitable for malaria transmission from 2025 onwards. The research, entitled Future Malaria Environmental Suitability in Africa is Sensitive for Hydrology, was published on Thursday, May 9th in the journal Science. This would come at a cost of reduced water availability and a greater risk of another significant disease, dengue, Simon Gosling warned. The professor of climate risks and environmental modeling is a co-author of the study and helped to coordinate the water modeling experiments used in the research. Previous Africa-wide assessments tended to solely represent surface water using precipitation. Authors of the new study ensemble of global hydrological and climate models to estimate present and future areas of hydroclimatic suitability for malaria transmission. The researchers hope that further advances in their modeling will allow for even finer details of water body dynamics, which could help inform national malaria control strategies. That's it for climate news and what is happening across different parts of the world.
And well, away from that, we now focus on our dailies, with which we look at what is making headlines in front of the papers. First, the New Vision is highlighting Uganda strikes fuel import deal with Kenya. The initiative is to stabilize fuel prices, according to the Uganda National Oil Company. Then, fake police officers travel for US training, a report by the New Vision today. Find more details in today's New Vision. Then, the DFCU Bank celebrates 60 years, and find more about the banking journey of DFCU. Then, why NUP old offices were searched. More details are in today's New Vision. Then, census 2.6 million households have been covered so far, according to new details. Then, farmers are set to pay for FMD vaccination as President Museveni and Chinese investors discuss energy. A pictorial at the front page of the New Vision with the President and the Chinese investors yesterday. Then also, government has resurrected the car inspection. Find out more of that in today's New Vision. As damaged fallopian tubes, a silent cause of infertility. read about that health report, which is of huge concern in today's New Vision. Now, the Daily Monitor is speaking something about the taxes weighing down Ugandans. They have broken down some of those: the consumption tax, rental income tax, tax on income. There is also advanced income tax for motor vehicles, and then no standard rate for some of the local excise duty. Read more about that in the Daily Monitor, and the pictorial that was used clearly says it all. Now, security will probe service awards, will probe the service awards later, says the State House. Then we are to blame for the census glitches, Uganda Bureau of Statistics reveals, and you can find more details in the Daily Monitor. Now, news: Uganda surprised, failed us on anti-homosexuality law, says the EU envoy. Read about that in today's Daily Monitor. Now, in the Rainbow Magazine, cheer at Malaika School Sports Day. Find more of what was happening at the Malaika School recently. Now, away from that, we head to Kenya, because the headline is speaking about the education sector. LSK criticizes the government for reopening schools without addressing learners' safety. The bigger headline is back to school chaos. Now, also, members of parliament split on move to clear Linturi. Find more details about it in there. Now, help me access treatment, pleads woman bedridden for 14 years. Then senators are pushing for counties to settle contractors' debts. How will that be done? Find more in the Daily Nation. Machugo orders probe into ghost schools as Member of Parliament denies role in establishment of fake schools in Baringo. Details to proceed in today's Daily Nation. Now, more interesting is what we're going to be having for our newsreel, because a new report has found that only 5% of health facilities that was sampled countrywide, that is in Uganda obviously, are meeting standards of providing health, of providing family planning services to the mothers. Now, that is a worrying report, 5%. The question is, where did we go wrong? What should be done? That is going to be our discussion, and the conversation that you, our viewer, can be part of immediately when we do return. The conversation will be open up on our online platforms, Twitter or currently X, and of course on our WhatsApp number. And for those that can't access the WhatsApp, you can use the SMS. As we get into the break, we have an inspirational song. This particular song of the day is coming in from Tatiana, Helplessly. Enjoy this one, but we do return with more. Good morning. Day 135 of 366. I don't know how you're moving along in the year 2024, but here we are. We are live and you're on time to waking up with us here on Good Morning Uganda on your national broadcaster. How are you doing, our dear viewer? And to you, a Ugandan out there, Monday did not seem to come with pretty good news if you're to look at it, because in Kasese, according to the police report, they are still counting a number of people who are dying because of the landslides. But not only that, because of the flooding and the like. But not only that, when you also take it to the football perspective in Uganda, former Cranes player and goalkeeping coach Fred Kajoba passed on as well. And it's not a good time for the Ugandan football fraternity. May his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. So when you look at such reports coming in on a Monday, you would definitely be praying that the week ends up so well. But nonetheless, we are here because not only did the news go on the sad side of it, but well, of course, there is also some promising bit of it if you come to think of it. And here we are delighted to make sure that we here on a Tuesday morning to ensure that you, our viewer, get to know of what is happening, what is making headlines not only in Uganda, but well away from Uganda. So sit back and feel part of the family and join the conversation as we'll be looking deeper in not only matters census, but then also looking at the preparations of so many of the things that is happening within the country. But then also, putting that aside, a new report, an interesting report that is citing that only 5% of Uganda's health centers are the ones that are actually promoting better or safer family planning services. Now, that is a worrying state for our nation and for the health center or the health sector of Uganda. So that is going to be a discussion that we will as well be looking at with the team. Myself, Joram Paul Sonko, Chantal Oliver Kandinda, and Olive Monica Najuma. Olive Monica Najuma, good morning today.
Well, good morning, Joram. How was your night and your drive to work this morning?
My night was a little bit short-lived, simply because I didn't have enough hours of rest, I should say. But here I am, happy and healthy, if I'm to put it in that way.
I like the sound of that. Well, my night was also fantastic, and of course the drive to work was nice. I like driving to work when children are on holiday, because you know what? That means that there are even fewer cars on the road. Yes.
I do understand that feeling, and more so when it comes to the fact that not so many Ugandans wake up as early as that.
Yeah.
Was brought to you by
just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in a new report by Makerere University School of Public Health has further indicated that only 5% of health facilities sampled across the country met all standards for the provision of family planning services to mothers. Today, I will tell you, family planning is not a new thing to our ears, and it's an everyday thing. Many of the mothers are on family planning, and surprisingly, even those who are not mothers or the married, also using family planning services for reasons one or two. But nonetheless, it is meant for the good, if you come to think of it, to plan accordingly for unintended pregnancies along the way. Welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda, and this is our newsreel discussion. You can be part of this conversation this morning by sharing your view, your opinion on our WhatsApp number and on the X app, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag UBCGMU with this conversation that we're going to be having, looking at the state of our health sector, but pretty much focusing on family planning as such. When you look at the services being offered, the standard under which this family planning continues, and well, with this report of a countrywide sample of some of the health services, not entirely all the health services, but when you look at the samples that were made, only 5% met the standards to offer family planning services to mothers. And the catchword or the catchline there is to mothers. This is a conversation with myself, Chantal Oliver Kandinda, and Olive Monica Najuma, where we are going to be having this as a conversation to fully understand what next should we do and what are we doing wrong as a country. Olive Monica Najuma, I've wanted to ask since the get-go of this report that normally when is it right, or when do doctors put mothers on family planning, before we even get deeper into this report?
Well, according to Dr. Geoffrey Chilama, a gynecologist at Maristops is one of the clinics in the country that offer reproductive health services like family planning. He says that all women in their reproductive age, even teenagers or adolescents under the age of 18, are actually good to go when it comes to family planning. So all of them can be put on family planning. Remember last year there was a contention where some leaders were suggesting that to combat early pregnancies in the country, that teenagers should be put on family planning. Of course, this was welcomed by some players and others were against it. But this doctor says that adolescents, if there is consent by their parents, can actually be put on family planning. But he says that there has to be a consent form for adolescents. It has to be signed by a parent or a guardian. And in case of someone 18 years and above, they can consent for themselves, or their partner or spouse can consent for them.
Okay, and that makes me take back my word where I was actually noting that some of the people who are not married, or those who are not mothers, are on family planning. So that means if someone is in their reproductive situation, or let's say season, they should all be on family planning. Now, speaking of family planning, what are some of those services of family planning, by the way, if we are to look at it? And what are some of those services offered during family planning?
We have different forms of contraception. There is the intrauterine, the IUD that is put in on the cervix of the woman, and this can go for as low as 30,000 to 40,000 shillings. And this one is considered a long-term family planning method because the IUD can actually stay in the body of the woman and enable her not to have to get pregnant for at least 5 to 10 years. And there is, of course, tubal ligation, where the woman's tubes are cut. This can be reversed, but of course, it can be reversed when the woman chooses to have children later on. But of course, the percentage of success is very low. The same applies to vasectomy, which is for men, where a gentleman may decide not to have more children and have what they call tubes also cut. Why are you laughing, Gerald?
Because there was a time I was following a conversation on social media where not so many men were happy with vasectomy as a topic of discussion. They felt like it was more like a family planning method that they were not willing to accept as men.
And you know, it's the double standards for me, because guess what? One man can make more than 5 ladies pregnant in 1 month.
In the same week or the same day.
Exactly.
Same day,
and yet a woman can only get pregnant once if she keeps the baby, or doesn't lose the baby, she can only get pregnant once in 9, almost 10 months when you count, because we count pregnancy in weeks. So I don't, and so far there are only 2 family planning methods, or maybe 4, but the ones that have been proven by science are the vasectomy and of course using of protection like condoms. And then the other is of course abstinence. And we know that at a certain point, people do not want to abstain. So that leaves us with condoms and vasectomy. So if you know that you don't want to have children, okay, or that you're done having children, I find it a bit short-sighted for men not to be receptive to vasectomies. And
it will be a very huge hassle for women to convince men to use any of those 3 methods, by the way. Even using the condoms has become a very big issue in the country. But that aside, Chantal, when you look at this report, one would wonder, what are we doing wrong in our health sector as a country? What are we doing wrong to have such a report? Because this is just a sample showing that only 5% that were sampled out meet the standards needed. Now, what if we did a countrywide report?
Well, I think if we did a countrywide report, we would definitely get very miserable results. If just these ones are very miserable. But what we are doing wrong is what I'm also still trying to find. But also, I believe it's something that hasn't been given a lot of attention. Very many people, when you talk about family planning, all they think about literally is about contraception. They're not thinking about the importance of family planning. They're not thinking about the mortality rate. Yeah, when you're talking about family planning, so it goes deeper than anyone can think at a point, because it has not been given the kind of importance it should be getting. For countries like China, for example, back then, that decided, or even in the West actually, that decided, listen, you are only, at a certain point, you are only allowed to have 2 children. And if you needed to have more, you would have to have permission. Government officials would come and assess your wealth and assess your home. You had to be in position to take care of those children if you decided to have more than 2 or more than 1 child. Now, when it comes to a country like Uganda, we don't seem to be bothered. There is a woman who is conceiving 3 months after giving birth. There is a woman who's conceiving 7 months after giving birth. Now, that puts the woman at risk. However, aside from that, it also puts the children being produced at risk in a number of ways. Are they going to be taken care of the way they should be taken care of? Why are we seeing some children neglected? Why are we seeing people aborting? Why are we seeing children sometimes being thrown in the latrines or in the toilets or left on the streets? That could be partly an effect that, that has trickled down from poor family planning. So it goes deeper than we could probably think or imagine, but it also needs to be given the right importance for us to be able to have the right results.
But also, one would ask, do we even have standards that we follow as family planning service providers? Let's say, do our health centers even have the standards of the family planning methods they give out?
What I know is we have methods, family planning methods, that have been put out by Ministry of Health. But when it comes to standards, we do not have. For example, they are telling you that if you look around, you're going to find only 5% of the hospitals having the capacity, to roll this out. What does that mean? It means they have the right equipment for them to be able to handle the family planning. They have the right information. They have the right medicine. So it goes back down to, some of those details. Do we, because we've not given it as much importance, what people know right now is you either use contraceptive, you either use a pill, because they're the pills that you take on a monthly, the hormonal ones, and then there's a whole range of products, those that you take once in 6 months, and all those things. Then there is the injections, and then maybe the condoms that are not very popular for some people, and then abstinence, which is very, very unpopular. And when you look at, we only know the methods, but the standards of, if you are a hospital and you are providing family planning services, what should you be having? Or I come to you, I do a test, then I go to the pharmacy and buy the medicine for family planning. Or I get the information from a radio station somewhere or from a chat group somewhere, and then I go to a pharmacy and buy because someone told me to buy. People are not even aware, or some are not aware, that you have to do tests for you to know the right family planning method you are supposed to be using for you not to what? For you not to get health complications. But that is not very popular information. So it goes back down to, have we given it the importance it deserves? Maybe not.
And well, when Chantal mentioned something to do with the right medicine or knowing the right medicine, you also get to realize that currently we have so many of the health centers, or let's say pharmacies and drug shops, that are selling some of these contraceptives. So to speak, when you look at the birth control pills, some of the people who have actually used the birth control pills say others got pregnant after using them. So the chances are they didn't know when to use them, or they were not as effective as they thought they would be. So there's also that element of having the fake products on the market.
And Jerome Paul,
yes, Monica?
yes, there is the fake products on the market, and of course that puts in question the standards body when it comes to importation of some of these drugs. But there is also something we need to clearly establish here, that contraceptives are working with someone's hormones. Some may have adverse effects on one's body, some may not. That's why actually when you go to the hospital as a woman, in most cases you're advised to choose a long-term method like the IUD or the implant, but it must be administered by someone that is well educated and well trained to do it. So now, according to this report, what I see is that in some facilities, the medical personnel have been trained, but then there is no equipment for the family planning to be administered. In other cases, the people just don't have the knowledge, like the mothers. For instance, in this very report, it is mentioned that many mothers are not given family planning right after birth. And I remember I've had conversations with different women that have had their first child, and in most cases they actually don't know that, let's say if you have a C-section, and if you allow the medical personnel, you can have an IUD administered right before you leave the hospital. This would enable the mother not to conceive when the baby is still very young, because it is said that 45% of pregnancies that happen before a child celebrates their first birthday are unintentional.
Chantal has mentioned on the figures that are very interesting. You'll find that a mother gets pregnant 3 months after giving birth.
Exactly, but there is a gap there that needs to be covered by the Ministry of Health, by medical personnel, because I'll be honest, I have had 3 children, and I just learned that it's okay to have an IUD administered right before you leave the hospital if you've had a C-section. Now, I'm an educated woman, I am exposed, I know many things. So if I'm just learning this, how about the ladies in rural areas? Because when you look at this report, it shows that many of them are at a disadvantage vis-a-vis their counterparts in the cities. So that's why we need to look at, because when you look at the birth rate in the country, you will realize that over 189 women are giving birth when you count 100,000 lives, you get. So what does this mean? It means that, and when you look still again to where most of the birth rates are, you will find that women in rural areas are giving birth to more children vis-a-vis the women that are in urban areas. And of course, education levels also matter, because if a girl is in school for a long time, it means she may not have babies very early. Actually, keeping a girl child in school is a family planning method or in its own right, because it is said that every time you keep a girl child out of school, you're exposing her to risks of HIV infection and early pregnancies. Well, so if a girl in the rural area is not in school for a long time, guess what? She's going to, that's why you find a 23-year-old woman with 4 children.
Well, and when you also look at it here, the Ministry of Health is considering family planning as a very important pillar for safe motherhood because of the fact that it reduces the maternal mortality. And according to data from the government, the country still loses around 189 mothers out of their 100,000 live births. Now, that is a worrying number, regardless of the fact that it doesn't hit 200, but again, 189 mothers being lost or losing mothers during the time of giving birth isn't a report you would wish for your health sector. But that aside, one would still want to know, let's look at some of the advantages that family planning does present to a mother or to the girl child or to any woman out there.
Well, when you try to assess what family planning can do, it stretches from one, avoiding unintended pregnancies. Please do note that Uganda has about a rate of 45% of unintended pregnancies, and I believe that is a very big percentage that needs to be looked into. Then, so you're avoiding unintended pregnancies, you're avoiding early pregnancies, you're avoiding, the mortality rate both in infants and in mothers if you do the proper family planning methods. And then, of course, for some family planning methods will help to avoid the sexually transmitted diseases. Some will be addressing some of those problems, but also it goes further to economic stability. It goes further to things like empowerment of the girl child. It goes further into more education opportunities. So you're looking at advantages that cross over from an individual, that is maybe a family setting, crossing over to the country as a whole. Because listen, if you have births that are not controlled and also unintended to a certain degree of 45%, that means that there is a limitation that you are enabling in the background. So that means also that you're not going to get some people are not getting good quality education because, one, they're in a very big family, a nuclear family of mother, father, and 5-10 children, yeah, or even extended. And then you realize that these children have to share the little resources and then go to certain schools because the parent or the parents may not afford to take all of them in the same schools to have better quality education. So it has that kind of ripple effect that it has from just preventing deaths and unintended pregnancies and some diseases down to economic growth for the whole country in general.
And well, to you, our dear viewer, you can be part of our conversation this morning by sharing your view and opinion on our WhatsApp number 0709602592, as well as on the X app using the hashtag UBCGMU. That is at UBCTV Uganda. Now, our poll of the day is comment on the report revealing that just 5% of health facilities nationwide meet the standards of offering family planning services to mothers. I'll retake it again. Comment on the report revealing that just 5% of health facilities nationwide meet the standards of offering family planning services to mothers. And we'll definitely be getting into some of those comments as we sum up with our discussion. Now, let me get back to Olive Monica. When you look at this state of our health sector, what needs to be done, first of all, to ensure that we meet the standards necessary and also to ensure that the Ugandans themselves get to know about the advantages and more aware of family planning?
Well, there has to be more campaigns regarding family planning usage and its importances. There is another report that indicates that there are many women who state that family planning can lead to family disunity, where their partners are not in agreement with family planning. And of course, this also has another ripple effect that if a woman does not rest her uterus for a given period of time and she's pregnant every other year, it means that her quality of life and her health is also going down. So when we are having this conversation about family planning, my belief is that we need to bring the men into the conversation, because in some homesteads, women cannot even dare say that I am going to get onto family planning because the husbands are not receptive. And guess what? It takes two to tango. It takes two to make someone pregnant. So the men have to be put in this conversation. There has to be effort in educating men on the need for family planning. Because in as much as you say that I want to have 10 children, that's all right. But have you looked at the way of living today? Have you looked at the cost of living today before you consider having 10 children? Chantal here just mentioned, if you have so many children, then the quality of life you're going to give these children is going to reduce. So as families, as a country, we need to have more conversations regarding that, and that is in the form of sensitization, education, just like what we are doing right now, for people to know that it's actually okay to get onto family planning. Now, there was contention, like I mentioned earlier, about about family planning being allowed for teenagers to avoid underage or rather early childhood pregnancies. And of course, the conversation is larger. Some people are for, others are against. But for me, this is what I have to say. If you know for sure that this child, after you've talked, you've counseled, you've done everything, and they are still sexually active, is it better for them to continue maybe with this act and end up pregnant, or even have unsafe abortions that can cost their lives, or to get them onto family planning? That is a question that for you to ponder. But going back to the government, we need to ensure, because one of the grievances being cited is that in most health facilities, the equipment for family planning is not there. The resources for family planning are not there. And of course, in some cases, the population cannot afford how much is being charged for family planning methods. So we need to go back to the drawing board. I remember in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, there was a concerted effort regarding family planning methods, and many ladies got onto family planning. And I know that there has been an improvement in the uptake of family planning methods, but we still need to do more, because I am waiting to see the census report to see the number of births per woman in the last 10 years.
And well, also, I need us to also look at our health centers, especially the private institutes. Do you ladies believe that many of them are giving out these services only for monetary purposes, or we have also those who are very intentional on the kind of services they are giving out?
There is those who are intentional, who will take you through the whole process. One, they will do the checks on your body to find out the most perfect family, or the most, I cannot say perfect, because some of these methods can't really be perfect.
All
but
of them are not
yes, they're not perfect.
Yes,
but they'll get the most, there's a word I want to use, but the most suitable at the moment for your body type, for your blood group, for those that do those tests. And then also, there are those who can't do, for example, hormonal family planning methods. So you find that if you don't know that and then you're using it, you're causing more harm to your body. So there are some health facilities, when you go there, they will do the necessary checks, for especially private facilities. They will do the checks, and then they will advise you on which family planning method you need to use. And that is entirely because they have to stay in business. That would be the only reason I would name that they do this. At the end of the day, if I am putting up a hospital, I'm looking to get a profit out of it. So definitely I have to make sure that the service I'm offering is going to give me the profit, but also my reputation out there matters when it comes to how many clients I get. So some private facilities actually do a good job at advising, doing the necessary checks, and giving you the better alternative when it comes to family planning.
Well, the profit bit, it's a business, right?
Yes.
But if you do put up a clinic and you say that you offer gynecology services, then family planning is going to be under your gynecology and obstetrics services, because this is what women come for. So one stone, rather, yeah.
And back to you, dear viewer, you can comment on the report revealing that just 5% of the health facilities nationwide meet the standards for offering family planning services to mothers. And I'm seeing some comments and views coming here. Well, for those who are making phone calls, please just send in a message and we shall get through it. First on the agenda, this one says, good morning, Chantal, Oliver and Joram. It's quite scary if only 5% of health facilities meet the required standards of family planning. Please do note, 5% of the sampled. This is an indication of the poor services given to the patients, meaning that some pharmacies or hospitals just gamble with this system. He also puts it that I think even the information in, among these people is very little. Some people receive information and advice from their fellows who can't give them required information. So ignorance comes in. And lastly, to the church I subscribe to, the Catholic Church, any use of family planning method is damned evil. So all those hindrances are to effective services of family full. Then it's Cricket Derek Gargamel from Makindye.
Jerome,
yes.
Can I comment briefly
Please.
on that?
Please.
He didn't lie, because when you go, I have had my babies from church-founded hospitals and Catholic at that. And one thing I know is that, yes, in most cases, you will not get those services at some of those facilities. But for me, the biggest, this is where I think...
Because the Bible says,
exactly.
That's what they say.
Thank you. But I think this is where the government and the church needs to have a round-table conversation. Because guess what? The church can influence people's decisions much more than the government can. Okay? And when we look, I understand, I follow the Bible, I'm a Christian myself, and I'm not criticizing any religious denomination, but times have changed so much. Cost of living has become extremely high. And if we go with this thing of Muzale Mwale, unfortunately, we will find ourselves at a point where China was at some point in the 80s, when they now put in place the one-child policy that they had later to abolish, because guess what?
The population
at some point,
was rising.
No, the population was rising in the 1980s when they instated the policy, but later on, they had more old people than young people. So they had to now abolish it and allow people to have as many kids as they can. We don't have to get there first. We can control things right now.
Well, and well, I'll end up our conversation this morning with a comment from another viewer who says, Chantal, Oliver and Joram, thank you for the show. I'm Chigwe Livingston of Ndeje Division Reza. He says that the family planning sounds good, but it has problems that put the ladies at risk. He mentioned cervical cancer. Then there's bizimba, he puts it, infertility. And when teenagers use such, it is terrible. You'll find that one will never have a child in life. Some of those family planning materials are on sale but already expired. Now, to our young girls, it shouldn't be applicable because it will lead them to prostitution deliberately, he says. Thank you. He mentioned something about the risk, but because of time, the ladies won't be commenting on that. After the break, when we do return, Allen Namisango returns with the GMU Tourism Express. More is coming on with the business update and also traffic update. So stick around. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people. We are one. Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the GMU Tourism Express. This is the perfect time for you to always tune in and listen to what is happening in the world of travel in Uganda and East Africa at large. So today it is an interesting edition that you're going to know more about Powate 2024. I'm with Dr. Gesa Simplicius from Uganda Tourism Board, the PRA, to talk to us about Powate. Dr. Gesa, you're so welcome here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be hosted here in this show.
So, Dr. Gesa, talking about Powate, the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, it is really interesting knowing that we have different stakeholders in the industry. We have tour operators. How many stores are outbooked now?
I don't have the exact figure, but what I can tell you with confidence is that we have over 140 exhibitors already booked, and I can say with confidence that the exhibition is sold out.
Wow.
We have full capacity interest, and we thank our tour operators, our local tourism players for heeding to the call. They've massively come out to support Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2024. They have always supported us, I must say, but this time round, they've put one strong foot forward, and we appreciate that. We are fully sold out, and we don't have any more stalls.
Probably the fact that it is sold out, it shows that tour operators or the exhibitors are really getting value from this expo, because you cannot keep on paying your money each and every year if you're not getting value. So it's showing that if it is sold out, it shows that it really adds value to the tourism sector. But please take us through some of the contributions you think that Powate is really giving to the sector and the whole country as a whole.
Powate has created enormous awareness for our tourism offerings we have as a country. We've seen increase, one, to the domestic visitors, but also a commensurate number of people matching up since we had COVID. In fact, we are now about 85% to the period that we had lost under COVID. That shows good progress because, one, people have continuously stepped up.
Yeah.
We have now good marketing, digital marketing.
Yeah.
We have had involvement of the private sector, and we seem to be united under one goal to showcase and make our country known out there. So that also brings the element of investments and jobs. We have seen that a number of young people have been employed in tourism,
yes,
with matching number of investors coming to support a number of initiatives. We've seen a number of lodges come up in most of these protected areas. New places have opened up, and product knowledge and development on the things we do has significantly improved.
Sure.
These are all elements of building to showcase the country. It is where people find value that people will want to invest, but also partake in the activities. So because of elements like Powate, that drives the country's traffic towards knowing that we actually have these selling points that we have disadvantage over.
Okay, of course, when something comes up like that, it will definitely have some hinges. Last year, I remember almost day one flopped Powate, and there are so many challenges. People were complaining, the stores were not set. So many challenges were really coming up. I think you also had them. Tell us some of the innovations or advancements that you've made in this edition that is going to make it different from the other editions.
Thank you so much. Indeed, last year's Powate, much as it was successful, had a great number of drawbacks. It was regrettable that day one had a lot of challenges, especially with the malfunction of the portal, but also the building of tents. Today, we have a state-of-art convention center at Speak Resort Munyonyo, so we are not worried about the weather vagaries. We are having already an established structure where we have handed the floor plan to the company that's supposed to set it up. So it is only about partitioning under a housed center. So this year is going to be different because, one, we shall not have to fight the weather, But two, we have already done advanced plans to have every stall marked, handed over in time to the exhibitor to put materials and ensure that by day one we are all set. The other thing that was challenging was the portal. We've dedicated a lot of time to one, construct a portal, troubleshoot any elements that involves malfunctioning, but also test it. As we speak now, we have already opened it up for the booking and linking exhibitors to the hosted buyers. That process is already smoothly ongoing, but also we now have time to train our exhibitors on the use of this portal and ensuring that they are in touch with the hosted buyers. That element helps us improve the efficiency of that interface between hosted buyers and exhibitors, but also value for money.
Yeah.
So we are upbeat that this time round we shall not have challenges linking our exhibitors who have participated but also paid to have services that they deserve. We hope we shall not have those challenges, and we shall deliver to hand over the space to the exhibitors in time. Once those two things check in, we are absolutely sure to have a very, very enjoyable show for everybody.
Something small that came into my mind. Powat has always been held for 4 days. Why 3 days this time round?
There are two things. There are a lot of logistical challenges that come with spending for the 4 days, but internationally it is a good practice to keep all aspects housed via interest, linking up business and expenditure of government in 3 days.
That is it that we heard from Dr. Gesa, the head of PR at Uganda Tourism Board. Well, I think it is an opportunity for you to show up at the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo and open up doors that you never thought that you would. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you tomorrow.
Good morning to you once again. Thank you for sticking around. This is a time for us to speak matters business this morning, and we are starting off with President Yoweri Museveni, who held a meeting with a delegation of Chinese investors led by Yang Yishen, the vice president of Sino Hydro Corporation Limited at State House in Tebe. Now, Sino Hydro Corporation Limited is a Chinese state-owned hydropower engineering and construction company contracted by the Ugandan government, and this very company is responsible for building the $1.5 billion Karuma hydropower station in Chiriandongo district. Now, this is an estimate of 5.6 trillion Uganda shillings. The discussion between the two parties focused on enhancing cooperation in hydropower projects within Uganda, and now expressing enthusiasm about the proposed ventures. President Museveni said he was glad to hear about the Oluyo Nimole transmission project, and he assured the investors of swift action, stating that he will talk to the Ministry of Energy about the projects. Now, as part of the Karuma project, Sino Hydro, also called Power China, has carried out a 379 kilometer, that is 400 kV, 132 kV transmission lines, which are Karuma Kawanda, Karuma Lira, and Karuma Oluyo lines, and also constructed 4 substations in Karuma, Oluyo, Kawanda, and Lira. Now, Jiang Xiaodong, that is the Power Channel country manager of the company informed the president that Power China International Group Limited, currently represented in Uganda by Sinohydro Corporation Limited as the contractor, is working with the government of Uganda on the 600 megawatt Karuma hydropower project. That should be good news indeed, as we've been facing some challenges when it comes to Karuma. Now, away from that, we cross over to the Uganda Business Technical Examinations Board. Now, the May-June examination series have begun countrywide, and the principal communications officer at the Uganda Business Technical Examinations Board, that is Narasi Kambaho, says all examination materials reached their designated centers on time, and over 30,000 candidates, this is from 294 sitting examination centers countrywide, are sitting for their examinations and assessments conducted by UBTEB. The principal communications officer at the Uganda Business and Technical Examinations Board, Narasi Kambaho, encourages all heads of centers to adhere to the UBTEB rules and regulations on the conduct of the examinations. Kambaho calls upon candidates to desist from examination malpractice, and the deputy principal, Nakao Vocational Training College, Rujumba Michael, says at the verification exercise, that the verification exercise will establish the level of competency achieved by the students. Now, also the head of electricity department, Nakao Vocational Training College, Hajat Shakila Ranga, says such skills acquired by the students will greatly empower them towards employment. Now, speaking matters nuclear storage, the Atomic Energy Council remains steadfast in ensuring that all application of nuclear technology in the country are used in a very safe and regulated manner to avoid contaminating human life and the environment. Now, one of the essential storage facilities recommended is the bunker, which is able to safeguard and prevent exposure. This comes in handy during transportation. And as Ivan Kahori, as the bunker and temporary storage facilities are built with special materials, you can look at in the application of nuclear technology, sources that emit radiation are maximally guarded to avoid cases of theft and unauthorized access. The places are signposted indicating that they are no-go zone areas. These boxes are temporary shelters for sources and are manufactured from specialized materials. There are also bunkers constructed to store the sources, preventing leakage and direct exposure to communities and the environment. And while storage is essential in the application of nuclear technology, transportation of sources is also handled with extra precautions to ensure the officers transporting the radioactive sources are free from radiation. And still, the Atomic Energy Council issues licenses to institutions and individuals who want to use nuclear technology to sell, possess, or use radioactive sources. And this is done to ensure that the right people are using nuclear technology as required by the law. The Council also inspects areas that use nuclear technology to ascertain the installation, positioning, purpose, systems in place to detect radioactive material and protection of workers. The recent interest has been the Kabalega International Airport, construction of which is nearing completion. The Atomic Energy Council engages with the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, the regulator of the oil and gas sector, for continuous interactions over safety whenever nuclear techniques are used in their operations. And the purpose is to enhance safety, targeting the particular sites where they handle waste and apply nuclear technology. And as we get to a closure of the business updates, the UPDF Fisheries Protection Unit has downplayed the isolated cause for their withdrawal from Uganda fishing waters. While conducting a sensitization meeting at Lubia landing site in Buvuma Island, the operations officer of the unit, Major Frank Kanzira, reiterated the invisible outcomes the unit operations, including bolstering fish processing industry. The UPDF Fisheries Protection Unit commits on enhancing sensitization campaigns against illegal fishing to ensure mindset change among the fishing communities. And also the unit is not moved by isolated calls for their withdrawal from Ugandan fishing waters, instead calls for public collaboration in ensuring the increase in fish stocks. While at the sensitization meeting at Lubia landing site in Buvuma, the unit operations head, Major Frank Kanzira, superintended the destruction of confiscated illegal fishing gears worth 9 billion shillings. Kanzira explains the ongoing assessment for the abolition of hurry-up method for silverfish harvest. Leaders at Lubia landing site commend unit operations due to the increasing fish stocks. The unit is calling leaders to partner with enforcement teams to sensitize masses towards accepting methods of fishing rather than inciting them to resist. Well, and that is how we go with our business updates this morning. And lastly, let's take a look at how we were standing with the forex markets as of closure of business yesterday, which happened to be Monday. As you can see, the US dollar closed at 3,760. That is if you were buying, and was selling at 3,770 Uganda shillings. The Great Britain pound was closing at 4,711 shillings, while selling at 4,723.78 Uganda shillings. The euro was closing at 4,051.59 Uganda shillings, while selling at 4,062.36 Uganda shillings. The Kenyan shilling closed at 28.70 points, that is Uganda shillings, while selling at 28.78 Uganda shillings. Now, the Tanzanian shilling at 1.45, also selling at 1.46. And when we talk about the South African rand, you're talking about 204.23 Uganda shillings. That is while buying and selling at 204.77 Uganda shillings. And well, that does it for our business updates this morning. Thank you for sticking around. Coming up is the traffic updates with Olive Monica Najuma.
Well, good morning once again. My name is Olive Monica Najima, here to take you through the traffic updates for this morning. And we are picking up from Wankulukuku Road and, of course, transitioning into Nyanama and later on Entebbe Road. Now, where we are is the intersection of Wankulukuku Road and Nyanama. And here we have smooth flow of traffic along the Wankulukuku Road stretch. But now I would like to focus our attention onto Nyanama Road and see how that goes up to where we now join Entebbe Road. And from what I see right now, from where Nyanama Road connects to Wankulukuku Road, we have smooth flow of traffic for now. So going through Nyanama, I still see that for the most part we have smooth flow of traffic that side of town. This is Nyanama Road that we are looking at, and continuing with the same, there is still smooth flow of traffic in the area of Nyanama. Now, Nyanama later on connects to Entebbe Road, and I would like for us to see how that looks like and how you can get to the heart of town, or at least the environs of Chibuye and the like. Now, looking at where Nyanama connects to Entebbe Road, there is a bit of slow movement of traffic and some bit of traffic jam that has come up already. And looking at the Kampala-Entebbe Road, there is smooth flow of traffic, but as we move along, we are now starting to experience some bit of traffic jam, and actually it becomes intense in the areas of Najanankumbi, especially around Nyondo Club. Now, this is mostly for people that are coming to Kampala or to the areas of Chibuye Makindye. You're going to experience traffic jam right from the center where Nyanama joins Entebbe Road, and from that point onwards, you're going to experience intense traffic jam along the Kampala-Entebbe Road. Continuing still with the same stretch, I see that the traffic situation doesn't change. We are still experiencing Entebbe traffic jam along the Entebbe Road, Kampala-Entebbe Road. Now transitioning into the roundabout at Chibuye, we look at that to see how the traffic situation is going, especially for those that are going through Queensway side. Around this area, we have a smooth flow of traffic that is along Queensway. There is smooth flow of traffic right now, but also the lower road, which is Katwe Road. I see that there is actually a traffic jam along Katwe Road. Now, seeing where these roads connect from, that is Katwe Road and Queensway, there is smooth flow of traffic until we reach that roundabout that has the Kampala flyover, and here there is still smooth flow of traffic, a bit of traffic jam. I see a slow movement of traffic coming in from Nachivubo Road, and I see a bit of traffic jam starting to build up along Baton Street. Now we continue still and see how Entebbe Road still after those sections looks like. Now along Kamukamu Plaza, that side, that Entebbe Road where we pass by Kamukamu Plaza, we have smooth flow of traffic, and I see Nasa Road also looking good. The same applies to Nkuruma Road. Now still continuing with Kampala Road, I see that we have a bit of traffic jam around Diamond Trust Bank, but continuing, there is a smooth flow of traffic along Kampala Road. Well, that's it for our traffic updates this morning. Thank you for being a part of Good Morning Uganda right from 6:30 in the morning. We are still continuing, so stick with us because agenda is coming up next. My name is Olive.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people. We are one. Pamoja, we are one. Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Joko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights, and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government. The Front Bench, your interface with the government, every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has owned the early technical glitches in the ongoing census exercise and cited unauthorized logins by unrecruited individuals.
Where the gadgets, of course, are not working and have failed to work, they have been replaced, and they are working. So as a bureau, we take responsibility of whatever is happening. That's why we make sure that every challenge, everything must be having a solution.
The UBOS board chairperson, Dr. Albert Byamgisha, confirms irregularities in the recruitment process by district leaders, including backdoor recruitment, leading to information mismatch.
And if you follow very closely, they will tell you that, yes, you know, I was brought in between, and we left the exercise to the local governments to recruit their own people who come from the same areas and do the work. But the good news is that we have known that, and we are cooperating with the districts. They are cooperating with us. They are giving us the correct information.
Working with the manufacturer of census-enabling machines, poor functionality of equipment was handled, and UBOS is optimistic for smooth exercise further.
We didn't have a technology failure, because if we had a technology failure, we would not be having any data coming through. The issue we had is that people could not log on because the districts did not assign them their enumeration areas.
The ongoing query concerning the delayed training allowance for recruited individuals, UBOS called upon district leaderships to submit harmonized lists for payment.
That's why we are calling upon all those responsible at the district level to file the lists and send them to the headquarters, to the UBOS headquarters. Some who have done, the enumerators have received the money. Those who have not done, please, we call upon them to send it so that they are paid. The money is there.
In places where challenges occurred during early days of the exercise, enumerators are expected to compensate for time wasted by extending days missed.
In some areas, like those people fighting for boundaries who have started late, definitely we shall extend. The enumerators, because they have started now in those areas which had conflicts and they have been solved, they will work. If they don't finish within the remaining 7 days, we shall add another 3 days and they finish.
So far, UBOS has confirmed 30% coverage of the 8.7 million mapped households in Uganda. Meanwhile, police have registered 7 cases of stealing census-enabling tools and 1 person arrested. In some districts, unscrupulous individuals are accused of sabotaging the enumeration exercise.
Where one Humuza Octavia reported the theft of a tablet for census after her house was broken into and the tablet belonging to UBOS stolen. Another tablet was stolen from Busia district, that is Bujabi South Cell, Masafu Town Council, from Akelo Dorin, a 32-year-old councillor.
In Nigeria, Kira Division, Wakiso District, one enumerator, Sally Andrew Emmanuel, was attacked and beaten up by guns. Andrew succumbed to injuries sustained. Abdul Nasir Lowama and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Well, that is the Uganda Bureau of Statistics on the glitches response. And some of the glitches I highlighted include the faulty gadgets, delayed allowances, lack of access to the UBOS system, and delayed deployment of enumerators. But hey, day 5 of the National Census 2024. And here we are, the National Population and Housing Census 2024. And of course, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics continues to rally the Ugandans and to call upon Ugandans to participate in the enumeration process to see that we get to be counted. And by the time or by the end of this census, that is hopefully 19th of May, we shall have had a fruitful census. Of course, here there's been criticism here and there, but for those that have been counted, many are excited, and some of the Ugandans are eagerly waiting to be counted, surprisingly. Others are doing it for matters of content creation. Others are doing it for matters of fitting within society. I don't know whether you've been counted, but this is a topic that we are likely to be having around the media roundtables for the entire week until the end of census come the 19th. I am with the ladies Chantal Oliver Kaninda and Olive Monica Najuma as we look into some of the glitches as well, and of course what the Uganda Bureau of Statistics has promised to work on. within the next few days of this census. Ladies, good morning. And we are back to the census stock. But of course, amongst us here, Olive Monica Najima is the only one who has so far been counted. I don't know whether Chantal has seen an enumerator on her doorstep.
None yet.
Okay. Now let's look into some of these glitches here. Looking at the fact that it's a digital census that we are holding as a country, the faulty gadgets has become a concern now for many, especially on day one because of the fact that, well, the internet connection, first of all, over the weekend, we received some news coming in from the coast that over the coming days, the internet connection or the internet speed will not be at the same rate as it was because of a little bit of the technical glitches. Now, when it comes to the census that we are having, tabs were given to the enumerators. These are some of the glitches. And, you know, when you look at it from there, do we need to pick a big lesson, if we are, to look for the next census in 2034, hopefully?
Sonko, it asks me that we are always looking for big lessons. Oh. When shall we come back to Ugandans and say that last time, which was 10 years ago, we picked these lessons and this is what we have done. And of course, before I even delve into it, I like that we are now using the internet as an excuse. To a degree, it is true. To a degree, it is an excuse. Because on Friday, when we had the first glitches, there was no internet challenges, okay? I've seen even some private internet service providers jumping onto this glitch that happened across the East African region, saying, you're going to experience this, you know, slow movement, slow internet services. But guess what? We've been struggling. We know this is what you've been doing, but that's a story for another day. Now, going back to the census and the glitches, you hear about the internet. Okay, we agree that in as much as government rolled out internet, cheaper internet services for government agencies and ministries and departments, in as much as it did that, we also agree that we don't have enough coverage across every region in the country, and this is a known fact that we struggle with as a country. Now, going back to the enumerators and the gadgets they were using, Sonko, these gadgets, the reason why we didn't have the census happening last year was because government told us, that is Uganda Bureau of Statistics, they told us that the procurement of the gadgets took longer than they expected, okay? So if that is the case, why are we having faulty gadgets in May 2024? Because the understanding is that the gadgets are new. The understanding is that the gadgets were procured from the manufacturers, brand new. It's like buying my new Subaru and it is at 0 mileage, and the minute it reaches here, I already have mechanical problems. So are we holding the people in procurement accountable?
For such situations?
For such situations. There was money, there was a budget of 326 billion Uganda shillings that government rolled out, because this census, unlike the others, this one is fully bankrolled by the government of Uganda. But has this money been put to good use if already on this is day what of the census?
Day 5.
Day 5, and we have enumerators complaining about their allowances, and now we are hearing excuses regarding the recruitment process. You had months and months to prepare, and you didn't do it, and now you're coming back to us
and
with these excuses.
Appearing before the press, Albert Byamgisha, the UBOS board chairperson, did note that they are working and they've been able to rectify on the issue of the tabs. And he also put it in place that 100 districts have so far received the allowances. Now, that is on the issue of the allowances. And as the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, they are also working to ensure that all the entire districts in the country receive the allowances for the enumerators. Because you get to realize that even the enumerator question was among those where the Uganda Bureau of Statistics was being criticized. Because at the end of the day, most of these enumerators are either unemployed or students in their vacation, and many of them would definitely be happy with this paycheck. At the end of the day, if you're rendering a service, you expect this to come through for you, or you expect a pay at the end of the day. Chantal, looking at some of these other glitches, what does this represent, you know, or what does this mean to our census this year? Because it does seem like it's a successful one, but behind closed doors, when you look at some of the, you know, some of the things that have been highlighted or that UBOS was able to address yesterday, there were certain things that we had not looked at deeply.
Yesterday I was telling you about preparation when it comes to how we handle our activities as a country. And once again, we have been shown that our entities were not ready for this exercise the way they should be. It's very hard to extend grace at the moment because we can't afford, we don't have the luxury to extend grace and too much grace at this point. In the era we are in of technological transformation, we should be past certain levels. That's why I say it is very hard to extend grace. I'll give just one example away from even the census. If right now you are investing into the decor industry, you're not going to invest with one chair and table and a few tablecloths. No, you have to punch in big because those who are in the market have already done the most to make sure that they are competitive enough. So you have to be competitive. So now take that and put it when it comes to technological transformation. Where we are, we can't afford to be experiencing certain things. We should be past that level. We don't have the luxury. If we are talking about economic growth, if we are talking about a country that is middle class, so what am I saying? Middle income status. If we are attaining middle income status, we should be past certain levels. And at this point, once again, we've been shown that we were not ready for this exercise 10 years after.
So that's why I said it is arcing for us to be saying what lessons do we pick. Yes, in any situation you pick some lessons. But honestly speaking, are we making it so clear that Ugandans should expect lackluster work when it comes to issues that are of national importance, like the census? You had 10 years. This didn't happen overnight. You had time to plan. And now what we see is this. It's really hard, borrowing from Chantal's words, to extend grace.
Well, and also the Senior Public Relations Officer at UBOS, that is Okoth Didekas, further blamed the local governments for the delay in remitting training allowances to the enumerators. Now, ladies, I would also want to ask, have we been, as the media or the public, been so harsh on UBOS, or are our expectations the ones that have actually put us in this situation?
Are we allowed to have high expectations or not?
We are.
We are
If
allowed.
we hear money, now let me paint this picture for you.
Okay.
Over the last couple of weeks, we've had run-ins with traders regarding the IFRS system and taxes, okay?
Yes.
And who is paying these taxes? A small section of Ugandans, because we know that majority of Ugandans do not pay taxes.
Okay.
So when it comes to taxes, it's you and I who are employed and a few traders that are holding the tax burden for the entire 45 to 49 million Ugandans currently. Now, when you hear that 333 billion Uganda shillings was released for a census, this money is entirely rolled out by the Ugandan government. Whose money is that, Sonko? It is your money. It is my money. It is the taxpayers' money. So we are expected and we are allowed to have high expectations. And as the media, we have the agenda setting theory, Sonko. We set the agenda and we paint a picture that the public follows. We are not supposed to come here and say that they're doing things right when we have seen, even themselves, they have admitted that they have had irregularities, okay?
Yes.
If we were seeing these irregularities at the tail end of the census undertaking, we would say, okay, fine, they've done their best. But we started seeing irregularities on day one. Sonko was in the field, and at around 11 a.m., Mengo Market had not seen an enumerator. I don't know if they went there at that time. When I spoke to the UBOS public relations office on Friday, I asked, do you have a roadmap where people will know that on this day they are going to be in our area, and on that day they are going to be in our area? And there was no roadmap. She said that they had worked with district leaders to give a roadmap. But now all we hear is someone blaming this one, the other, and blaming. It's a blame game.
Mm-hmm. And, well, of course, you get to also realize 30% of the households have been so far covered, according to Uganda Bureau of Statistics, after 4 days of the count. And to Mr. Byamjisha, the issue is they found solutions in the 4 days of the exercise, even with the fact that during the entire, process, or the entire 4 days of enumeration, they've experienced challenges as the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, with which they've been able to also identify and get solutions for the same. And he also ruled out the possibility of extending the census, as much as some media outlets have been reporting that there might be a possibility of, it's likely not to be for us to extend the census period, except for Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono, and areas with boundary disputes, according to what was revealed yesterday at the press brief in Naguru at the police headquarters.
I have a question, though.
Yeah, sure.
How does UBOS expect Ugandans to trust the results of this population census after some of these glitches that we are seeing? And how do you expect, how do you even prevent the scenarios we are seeing, enumerators being beaten up by individuals? We've seen these reports, enumerators being beaten up, some are collapsing on duty, and all these other issues that are happening in, in the different parts of the country. How do you expect your enumerators not to be beaten again in another place after some of these irregularities that are being experienced? Please do not, like I said, I talked about popularity when it comes to politics and rule. Yeah, yes. If an entity or an individual or an organization loses popularity, then there is a problem. That means you have lost your influence. And now the question is, are you going to be able to instill confidence in Ugandans that whatever you are doing is going to give the accurate results that we are supposed to be seeing?
And well, to your viewer, you can be part of our conversation and share with us what you think should be done in the next few days to ensure that we have a successful population census at the end of it. Of course, we are not saying it is not a successful one, but we are still ongoing with the situation, but there is a lot of criticism here and there. And of course, there's been some, success stories or experiences from those that have been counted as well. So you can easily see it's a balance. It's a 50-50 kind of experience as of now. So to your viewer, what do you expect? And for those of you who have been counted also, you can share with us the experience, how you've actually been able to deal with the enumerators. What was it? Were you scared at the get-go? Did you give accurate information? And the like. Now, ladies, let's get to the question bit of it. 180 questions. Monica, I'll start with you because you are already counted, or you've already experienced the enumeration process firsthand. Looking into some of the questions, yesterday a guest I had for the GMU Extra revealed that there were some questions that he felt were not supposed to be asked, especially for some of the married men who feel that certain questions would not be suitable for them in the presence of their family. Now, when we look at some of the questions, some have praised, UBOS for the preparation of this year's questions or the questionnaire, which they say has been on point, even though some are not willing to give the information that is needed.
Now, when it comes to the questions, obviously, we have actually talked about this for a long time, since before the undertaking began. And some people find the questions a bit intrusive because they're asking some personal questions, and others are okay with it. Now, when it comes to the men that have families elsewhere, this is what UBOS has been saying. If you're not comfortable revealing that information, probably because your official wife doesn't know about the children outside of your marriage, that you don't have to actually answer that question. You don't have to answer, because still where they stay with their mother, that mother will give the information. Also, when you were at the Minister of Finance's residence, that is
Honorable Matia Kasaija.
Yes, Honorable Matia Kasaija. I saw enumerators sitting just with him. And families given this privacy, are they talking to the head of the family when everyone else is in earshot? Because at mine, it wasn't actually the situation. I talked to them and later on they talked to the kids.
At Honorable Matia Kasaija, there was a bit of, you know, one person each, because they first interviewed him. Then after, he then called in his wife. Then after, the children were also later invited. So theirs was one person each. But however, Honorable Matia Kasaija had actually asked at the start whether he can answer the questions in the presence of the wife. I think the wife was busy doing certain things as well. But you get to realize, I think it goes back to how the families have prepared for such a day.
Exactly. But also, some enumerators have actually been attacked by some people in some areas where they, first of all, they are insulted. Some people don't take them seriously. Others are already insulted on the pretext of, why are you asking personal questions about me and my family?
There was also an alleged report that one enumerator was beaten for trespass in Buyala.
Imagine that. But these families knew that people will be coming to count. So at the end of the day, there have been glitches on the part of UBOS, but also even us, Ugandans, some of us have not been receptive when it comes to the enumerators. And then the issue of security, the enumerator Andrew Sally that was attacked in Nigeria and later succumbed to his injuries, it is reported that the attackers did not take anything from him. They didn't take his bag, they didn't take the tablet or the power bank. He was just beaten. So one wonders, was it because he was an enumerator or someone had a bone to pick with him? Then others, a lady collapsed and died when they reached hospital, and another one fell ill on Saturday and died that same weekend in Churura. Exactly. So some probably not really taking care of themselves in terms of drinking enough water, yet they're moving a lot. So they really need to take their health very seriously, because what they're doing is it's not a small feat. It's
true.
A lot of work.
Moving every day.
Yeah.
And Shata, let's give a mention to the reception here of some Ugandans when the enumerators are coming by. Some have been excited about the entire experience. There are people who are really excited and are waiting eagerly to be counted and to give in their information. But then there are some Ugandans, of course, who feel that they don't need to give the government information. There are some reports that were even saying that some business people are even scared that the government wants to know more about their businesses and then impose taxes on them.
Well, you see, what I think the part Ugandans haven't understood is that, for example, if information is too personal, you may not be in position to give it as long as you give the most relevant information at the end of the day. But the reception, I would say, has not been very good, and you would attribute that to, one, people not understanding the role or the importance of carrying out census, and some don't even know that in the countries they so admire, they also do census. For example, in the US, what they do is they distribute forms to to all the households. Then those households fill in the forms, then they are either dropped off somewhere or they are collected from the different households. So it's not only in Uganda where we are seeing a population census taking place, but the question would go down to, why do we have these negative attitudes? One, it could be just poor mindset. I mean, we saw in Nakaseke people saying, for us, we believe this is a cult, or we believe this is not part of what we should be doing in our belief. So they dismissed the census and said they would not be part of that. Others are politicizing it, and the unfortunate bit is that those who are politicizing it seem to be more vocal than the implementer of the whole exercise, and that also leaves the exercise at a disadvantage, because there is negative attitudes or mindsets being built around the census. And at the end of the day, what you need is this activity very well done for proper planning of the individuals. And also, the people who are saying that when information is collected, it is going to be given to URA and they're going to start being taxed. One, UBOS, you know, came out and made sure and gave confidence to individuals and told them, listen, the information we are collecting is confidential. Every enumerator signed an oath of swore an oath of silence, so your information is not going to be distributed. But also, why would you be a Ugandan and you have businesses and you do not want to be compliant? I don't want to say pay taxes, I'm going to say compliant. I mean, I had a conversation with the commissioner at URA and I asked, but why do we have some of these figures in terms of percentages of taxes really high compared to some other countries? And the person said our tax base is still not wide enough. But if it were wider, these figures could be reduced. Maybe we need to start considering some of those things. I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, if you have a business, you can't hide forever. In one way or the other, the taxes are going to be coming at you. Maybe,
Chantal, on the part of the enumerators swore an oath of secrecy or silence. I'll ask you what Kent asked me on Friday. Do you know Ugandans to be that morally upright that they won't release such information if someone is paying the right amount of money? I would not guarantee that.
I think that is why they use specific individuals to enumerate high-end officials.
Yes.
Because you can only imagine if someone comes out having information against you and you're in an argument and they know a thing or two about you and it's the end of the story.
But also what's important to note is that the Uganda Bureau of Statistics has a mandate to count people, to do surveys in the country. This time it is the National Population and Housing Census, but they usually do other surveys around the country, sometimes after 5 years or 3 years, depending on what they are looking for. So their mandate is not to look, their mandate is not to look into your personal accounts, your money, your business, because we have a body for that. That is the Uganda Revenue Authority. So you should not be worried.
And that is why some of the questions that are part of the very many questions people seem to be complaining about are meant to help UBOS. It is information being collected all at once instead of having another exercise being run. So let's try and be a little bit more open-minded to this exercise. It is for our own good, whether we actually like to hear it or not.
Well, the National Population and Housing Census 2024 was slated to start on the night of 9th May and officially 10th May to the 19th of May 2024. And as we are speaking right now, the exercise is ongoing, and as we are currently on air, someone is being enumerated. And then we also expect that by the 19th, hopefully, the exercise will be done, and maybe a day or two for the extended bit of it, especially for Kampala and some areas around. But besides that, we continue to urge you to be part of the enumeration and part of the census. Ensure that you give out accurate information to the enumerators so as to help the government do proper planning. And, well, it will also help us to back our accountability questions at the end of the day, especially when government or our public funds are being misused. But that is it for our discussion here on the Good Morning Uganda agenda. Coming up next is Ruben P. Machibirango with sports here on Good Morning Uganda.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.